I'm Bill.
And I'm Candace, and we're the Disruptors. Well, it's nice of you to dawn the door with your presence today, Mr. Lee.
I just thought I'd stop by and cheer you up.
Well, I'm glad. And obviously, you have made me happy.
Yeah, happy, yes.
And you brought all the equipment, which I really like.
Yes, that's true. That's the only way I can get into the studio.
That is
bring
true.
The stuff with me.
That is true.
Yeah.
Hey,
we have stereo. We have stereo.
We have. Great minds think alike. Okay, well, Bill, you must have borrowed yours for a minute. So...
No comment.
We are fortunate and honored again to have Kat Jackson from Northwest Float Center back with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys. Thanks for having me.
We had so much fun with you last time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and,
we're still floating. Candace was outside floating in the fish pond.
Once you float, you can float anywhere.
Yeah,
hey, once you float, you never go back.
That's
right?
It's true.
So
that could explain the goldfish with the big signs. Get her out of here. We'd like our pond back.
No, because her float tanks are especially different, and they have lots of yummy benefits.
Lots of salt too. I don't
salt.
see any goldfish hanging out
goldfish?
in our float tanks. No,
No.
I don't see that lasting.
Okay.
Sushi free. So
Absolutely.
So I was wondering if today, Kat, if you could go over really like some of the features and benefits,
Sure.
and maybe like if some disorders or something the float tanks can actually really assist in healing or helping people out with.
Absolutely. I think there's quite a few different benefits of floating, and oftentimes when I'm talking about floating, I hear myself and I stop myself and I look at the person I'm talking to and I say, I know what you're thinking. I keep saying it will help for that. And the truth is, it will. I promise you, yes. It helps with that. It helps with that. It helps with that.
That you won't help with, but anything else.
He's
help.
pointing at.
Yeah.
I noticed that. Yeah.
It might help you with that if you float it.
I never thought
Because the last show you said it helped with the mind.
Yes, it will help to relax your mind. You'll get less stressed out about little things.
Okay.
Extra help for you.
So as far as benefits go, I kind of compartmentalize it into two different categories. There's the mental health benefits, and then there's the physical benefits.
Okay.
And then there's of course the benefits that each individual finds, and the reason why they float. So, but just to kind of really kind of graze over the deep benefits of it all. While you're floating, you absorb tons of magnesium from the water. There's 1,000 pounds of Epsom salt, which is magnesium sulfate. So when you absorb that magnesium, your muscles relax ridiculously so much. I mean, you're buoyant in the float tank, right? So you'll hear yourself, kind of crack your neck, and your shoulder will kind of, after a couple of seconds, you'll go, oh, that's where my shoulder's supposed to be. Right?
Really?
Oh yeah. I mean, your spine completely decompresses while you're in the tank. So you're benefiting physically in so many ways. People float that just have chronic neck pain. People come in that have injuries that they are healing. I mean, so many people are in physical pain. It's just such an intense thing that people deal with day to day. Headache, TMJ, sinus issues, allergies, asthma. You're inhaling water that's just full of salt, so it's extremely cleansing for all those reasons as well. We have a client who he has been floating with us since we opened, and about 2 years before he found flotation therapy, he finally had gotten back surgery, and he had been out of work for almost 5 years from having just chronic back pain.
Oh.
And he avoided getting surgery, and finally he decided to try. And unfortunately, that wasn't the fix. It still didn't help him with his chronic day-to-day pain. And after his third float, he weaned himself off of Vicodin, and he had been on...
that's really good.
Vicodin, boy, that's
He'd been
great.
on Vicodin for 8 years. And after his third float, he weaned himself off very easily, that he said, and he floats twice a week. He uses a cane to walk, but he's completely upright, and he's not in pain.
Isn't that amazing?
And he attributes that to floating. I mean, just full on.
Oh,
so
that's amazing.
There's so many amazing benefits physically that you can feel from floating.
Can it help diabetes and let's say neuropathy?
Yeah, it can. I think there's a lot of different factors that kind of go into anybody that has diabetes on any type of scale that that they have it on. And neuropathy is a pretty severe severe thing that people that have diabetes deal with. But anything that is a physical, is physically painful for people, floating will help. It's not going to make it all go away all the time.
Sure.
But a lot of times, I go in there with a sore shoulder and it doesn't hurt again, ever, because I didn't have any severe injury or anything, that kind of goes along with that. So I really think it's beautifully complemented with physical therapy, chiropractic, massage, yoga, anything that you're doing to feel better physically. Floating's going to really complement that.
Complement it.
Yeah.
So how many times a month should somebody come and visit your facility?
I think it really depends on their ideal, on their time and budget, of course.
You bet.
I float at least 3 times a month. And that's huge for me. I feel so different when I don't float. Sometimes I'll go a week or 2 and I'm like, why do I still have this headache? Or, why did those shoes hurt my feet? Why am I so tense? All of it. And because I haven't had my float.
Isn't that interesting?
Well, now I saw on the website you guys have packages or a membership. Is that correct?
Yep. We have a once a month membership, and that's $48 per month. And that buys you 1 float with that one $48 charge. Any other float that you want to buy on top of that will still be that membership price of $48.
Oh, wow.
You can share it with somebody. You can buy gift cards at that price. The base price of a float is $68, so that's a $20.
That's a great deal.
That's a great deal. It's a really
for 75 minutes of floating.
75 minutes in the tank.
That's amazing.
Yep. And the 75-minute part kind of brings me back to the other side of my benefits point of the mental benefits that you get from floating. We talked a little bit about in our previous podcast about that theta wave brain state and why that's such a restful state. And so mentally, it's a really great place to relax and kind of sometimes you can just rest your brain. A lot of times you can compartmentalize your thoughts and really kind of plan things out. If you think that you have an issue that you don't know how you're going to figure it out, a lot of people figure it out in float tank because you're not dealing with traffic or the dinner cooking and so on.
All those outside pressures.
Yes.
Well, stress is just I think it's such a silent thief.
Absolutely.
And
It really is.
Where, I don't think that we realize because we're conditioned, humanity is conditioned to adapt, and overcome and to compromise and do whatever it needs to do for survival purposes. So we have an incredible machine called the human body. And I think that what happens often is that we're inundated and that we don't realize at how much stress we're under.
Absolutely.
And how many things that robs, because eventually, stress robs us of our health. And
absolutely.
We make not as good a decision. So I can see where this would be incredibly beneficial for individuals. Of course, I'm going to promote the business owners, get out there and float.
Yeah, of course. But no, truly, just to get everybody, just to take a float or 2 and see how you feel. And I can guarantee you that you're going to feel better equipped to go deal with the stress that we all have. There's no getting away from our stresses. But there are better ways to cope.
So how about children? I know it's safe for adults. Is it safe for children?
Safe for children, yeah. We've had quite a few children float. Just recently, an 8-year-old boy with sensory processing disorder came in and floated, and his mom wasn't sure if he wanted the tank door closed. You can leave it open and see some light and that kind of thing. And after he got comfortable, he was all about it. And she said, he has benefited hugely just from that one float.
Whoa, amazing.
She just saw the change in him immediately. And there's another story like that too. I had a client a couple years ago. They ended up moving, but she brought in her son who also was on the spectrum of autism and sensory processing disorder. And she heard that flotation therapy might help him. So she thought, let's just give it a whirl. And he had his float and she was in the room with him and he was showering. She came out and we were chatting while he was showering. And she said, yeah, I think he liked it. He wasn't it wasn't this huge change and that kind of thing, but I think he enjoyed it. And he came out and was moseying around in the lobby while her and I were talking. And we're right on 6th Avenue, so you see the traffic and you hear the sirens and that kind of thing, right?
Stuff going on all the time.
So a fire truck came by and sirens and everything, and I saw her immediately tense up, expecting him to react. And she looked right at him, and he was looking at our wall of salt lamps. And he didn't even look away. And she almost started crying. She's like, I cannot believe that just happened. That would have been the trigger that would have ruined the day.
Oh boy, and they really set off too. Once that trigger hit, they really set off.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with that disorder.
Sensory processing disorder?
Yes.
Yeah,
It doesn't sound pleasant, obviously.
I can't describe it perfectly, but the way I think of it as too much, too loud, too fast, too many people, too bright.
Wow.
Why does it feel bad to me? All this stuff that most people deal with perfectly. I have a good friend who she lives in Hawaii, and her son is on the spectrum and has sensory processing disorder, and they've had a really hard time doing water sports and stuff that the whole family loves, because when the water comes and splashes him in the face, it scares him, and he doesn't like it. He's not in charge, right?
Yeah.
So they brought him here actually for the winter, and he snowboarded, and she couldn't believe how much
Isn't
it was
that
the first
wonderful?
sport that he just like jumped right on board, because he was completely covered. His face, his goggles, everything
That's
was
great.
safe from any infiltration. So he was in control, and he was happy. Yeah. So it's quite a burden to bear to have that, and to have to show up in this world that the way that we expect each other to.
Sure.
Yeah. So if floating helps just a few people just to be able to kind of process that stress better, that's what I mean by saying the stress is not going to go away. We all have to work. We all have to live. We all have to create that entire retirement and pay our mortgage and all that kind of stuff. But if we can feel better while we're having to deal with those things, like I guarantee you that floating will make you feel better while dealing with that.
Well, I think as people look at, even New Year's resolutions and having, let's say, a better work-life balance. And one of the things that I think that why people fail is because they haven't put enough structure in place to make that happen.
Right.
And I think one of those things by them being able to check out,
Exactly.
because there's so many people with sleep disorders and different
Right.
things like that. So
Boy.
they're not getting
Absolutely.
good
Yes,
sleep,
yes,
or
Yeah.
where
absolutely.
you're able to solve those problems and wake up,
Yeah.
and go, oh my gosh, I have the answer.
Right. No, we're not getting rested. We're not getting rested from our sleep because our brains are having such a hard time shutting off. A lot of that has to do with looking at our phones all the time and that blue light and
Never.
we all
never
know all
look at
about that.
By the way, where did I put my phone?
You haven't checked it in a few minutes. You might want to. But that's the thing. We feel like we have to be connected. And that's what I tell people. I encourage people to leave their cell phones with me at the front desk. It's 75 minutes. It is okay. It's okay to be off.
The world will be there
The
when
world
you
will
get back
be there.
out.
But that it takes a good couple floats, and then you realize, oh my gosh, it's there. And then you do give yourself that time. That's what I mean. You take that time to be quiet. You take that time to process. You take that time to rest. 1 hour in the tank is equal to about 4 hours of perfect bed rest.
And what's so interesting about it is I've been experimenting. I leave the phone at home and drive to the grocery store. You don't realize how attached you get to the phone.
Yeah, how many times do you look for it on that
Oh yeah,
drive?
you're
or
just
even,
thinking, oh,
once you
geez,
get
I
there?
left the phone. No, I know I left the phone. I know why I did it.
Yeah.
I think trying to break that chain in our
Yeah.
lifestyle, relieve that pressure. Floating evidently would be a great answer to that.
It is. It absolutely is, because it's not just not having the phone. You're in this environment that so many people say, well, what am I going to do for 75 minutes? What? Just myself and my thoughts for 75 minutes? And what I say is, if you can't hang out with yourself, who
can?
Who can? If you don't want to be around your thoughts,
Absolutely.
don't bring your thoughts to anybody else. And so until we have our own thoughts in check, and you might be stressing out about something, and you get in the float tank and you actually have that time to dedicate to think about that, you go, oh, that's not that bad. Oh, that's
Right.
not scary. Oh, I can do that. Oh, I already did that 3 years ago. I totally forgot.
Yeah,
And that
very
happens
true.
all the time. And we
Very
forget all the things that we've been through and that we've learned and the coping mechanisms that we know we should be practicing.
Well, I like the fact that you've got your own private room.
Yes.
And then afterwards you can shower,
Yeah.
and you can kind of create your own little space for that hour and a half.
Yeah, our rooms
And-
are really sweet. I worked really hard to I still do. I don't do like any sort of decoration. I'm really big on not creating like any correlation between what people see and our environment, because you are in that environment of just kind of alone with your own thoughts.
Sure.
So I mean, there's so many little things. We've got like nice little benches with a glowing salt lamp next to you, a space heater, Q-tips, earplugs, lotion, all that good stuff, shampoo, and towels for you and everything too. A nice little mirror if you want to get ready, and then just kind of go out and prepare yourself for the day.
Well, I'm looking forward. I'm gonna do it. Matter of
Yeah, you
fact, my husband and I, we're gonna do that. I'm gonna commit.
It's a
to
wonderful
that.
idea. Now, I've got
Now,
some rubber boots
I think that
for
Bill
you.
should
You can have
actually
cement blocks on them. I want to see if you
embrace
can
that.
float.
Yeah.
You should.
Of course I can float.
Sure.
I've never had a problem.
I got one good question. When and how did you get involved with floating?
Sure. Well, my husband actually wanted to start the business. He was a contractor for the government, and he worked over in Afghanistan and Qatar. And he his back was injured from working as much as he did, and when he came back